recording.
I gotta find our little chat window. There it is. Now recording.
Doo-doo-doo.
/join.
Now recording.
There it is.
There it is.
I'm assuming it's still recording, even though I minimized the chat window thing.
I mean, he's here.
Now recording.
I see him on the screen.
Oh, okay. You see Craig go. I still haven't hooked up that monitor to have it off to the side. You guys ready to run this thing? I'll record.
Why not?
I'll get us going, but you're going to have to carry it. I'll chime in, but my voice sucks. Did I update everything? Yeah, 343.
Now recording.
Braves are actually winning. That doesn't happen very much. It hasn't happened at all this year.
But how are the Savannah Bananas doing?
I think, don't they win every game like the Harlem Globetrotters? Don't they just win by default? I feel like they do.
Yeah, who's it? The Generals that they go against? Harlem Globetrotters?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
They've beat them like one time, I feel. The Generals.
And all I can think of is the car insurance.
Go to the General.
Go to the General and save some time.
Save some time. Yeah, they're just there to be fodder for the Globetrotters. You're just a supporting actor.
Yeah, this versus the Washington Generals.
Washington Generals, that sounds right. You think the people they don't want for the Globetrotters end up on the Generals?
Maybe.
We want you, but not in the role you interviewed for or tried out for.
You're going to be a foil.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. It said championships 75.
For the Globetrotters?
Yeah.
The Generals are like the red shirts from Star Trek. They're just there to be killed at whatever planet they end up going on.
According to this right here, it said in June 2021, the Globetrotters filed a petition to join the NBA as an expansion franchise.
Oh. They tried. You remember that Star Trek Family Guy bit? It was like, the landing party will consist of myself, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, and Ensign Ricky. Ensign Ricky was the red shirt. He was like, oh, crap. Ensign Ricky.
Red shirt always dies, man.
Yeah. It's all about the Switch 2. I think I had this open already. Probably gone. Are you guys ready?
Ready as ever was.
Same as it ever was.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 343 of the NOFODcast. We are the Southeast premier video game and 343 Industries Appreciation podcast, even though they're no longer around. Does that mean 343 Guilty Spark gets the 343 moniker back? Maybe. Yeah, I sound like shit, whoever's joined us.
Yeah, Lucian is $5,000 Switch too.
He always overinflates. Is that the tariff? Is that the tariff amount? $5,000 Switch 2?
I think it's what 47% for Vietnam, which that console's made there. So add 47% from that 450.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it, Bobby.
That is a $5,000 Switch. Steam Deck's looking pretty good, weesh. Tonight's news is just one big news article. It is the unveiling we got of the Nintendo Switch 2. We had a dedicated direct. What was that, Wednesday? Wednesday morning?
Mm-hmm.
They showed off more details, including the pricing and some upcoming software for the game.
About 30 titles.
Yeah, it was a big show, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen most of the news, and my two cohorts here have seen the direct, and I've not had a chance to watch it. I was out of town earlier this week. And as you can tell, my voice is totally screwed up. So I think the two guys are going to handle most of the podcast. I will chime in here and there, but I think they're gonna take this one. I'm of course one of your hosts, Richard Bergman, joined tonight by newsmaster Brant McKee.
What's up? I'm not a horse.
You're not a horse. I'm a horse.
I'm not a horse.
Also not a horse. Our resident lore master and soundboard master, Cesar Concepcion II. Cesar, welcome.
Yeah, finally, I'm usually the one that has the fucked up.
Sometimes you are the horse one.
Yeah.
If we were playing horse with the Harlem Globetrotters, you would already have every letter, sir.
I would be the Washington Generals.
Are you the Washington Generals of this show?
Apparently.
No, they lose every time. You never lose. We're all winners here. All right.
He gets the Cesar Award.
Yes, he does always get the Cesar Award.
I'm the opposite of DJ Khaled. I always lose. No matter what.
All you do is lose.
Another one.
Ugh. Boys, what are you talking about? Just came from work, says Mr. Collab. Is that Caleb, perhaps? Friend of the show, Caleb? As Bouige puts a horse emoji in the chat. Thank you for joining us on Twitch and YouTube, of course.
Like I thought it was a maple leaf or something like that. I had to look at it closely.
Mr. Collab, this is going to be a Switch 2
tiny on my screen
show. It's very tiny on your screen.
Switch 2 centric.
Yeah, our only news this week is all the Switch 2 news that was announced this week. And then we're going to wax poetically about our experiences in Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas 2.
Yeah. And the Epic of Sean.
The Epic of Sean. Nonstop. Nonstop coming for us.
Of
Collab,
good old
welcome.
Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, Collab, thanks for joining us for this this episode. We appreciate you coming here. But did I miss anything in the intro? Are we good?
Nah, we good, man.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and run it from here. So
Yeah,
we got this article from Polygon from Matt Patches. And it basically writes everything that was announced from the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. He kind of starts it off here where a little bit out of order, but they announced that there's going to be two bundles of this console, one by itself for $449 and one with $499, price pending for both of these, for Mario Kart World included, which gives you a savings of $30, I believe.
Mm-hmm. At the moment.
So, wait, are you telling me that's an $80 game?
Yes, it is an $80 game. We will definitely get to that at some point here. We just had a notification today that the pre-orders that were supposed to open April 9th that they listed on here are not happening anymore, as Nintendo looks at how these tariffs are going to be played out. So I'm assuming that the price is going to increase on this console, unless something changes by tomorrow.
That would be
when
unfortunate.
The tariffs do go in effect. So
highly unfortunate if that were to occur.
it is. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, people are already very unhappy with the pricing. So if it goes up, it will not be going the way people want.
We'll go over the specs and stuff later, but what do you guys think about this price point at $450 and $499?
$450 is where actually $450 to $499 was where I was kind of placing it.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing that Japan got it for $345, I was hoping it would have been $399 just for the unit itself, but $100 more than the Switch. So, but we shall see here. But as the direct had started, it was an hour-long direct with a couple of issues in the middle, maybe towards the end of it.
Yeah, what happened? Did it just pause or did it not play
the video just dropped and the audio continued, and then they like resynced it. I just went to the Japanese feed and I didn't have an issue after that. So
gotcha.
But
was it mostly the same stuff in the Japanese feed?
Yeah, I don't think there was anything exclusive to it. So the first look we had was Mario Kart World. They gave us a sneak peek about the game. I think they said there was going to be a dedicated direct for Grand Credit. Maybe it was like April 16th or something like that, or 14th. It's not next week, but the week after next.
Something like that.
Somewhere around there, which is going to be dedicated to Mario Kart World. They went over the differences in the game. There's like weather changes. There's more of an open world. There's 24 racers. There's different types of gameplay modes. A lot of social multiplayer modes where you can just do the standard races, or you can do long races where you would have to do kind of like the Forza and all those other ones on there where you have to get close to the leader pack and they cut you off. Or F-Zero's the same way. If you don't get on the top 5, then you're dropped from the race. So, and it's like those are the longer races where you go overall the whole map. And outside of that, it just came out and said you would learn more from a dedicated direct for Mario Kart World later this month. So another 2 weeks, probably week and a half. Cool.
I mean, it's going to sell like gangbusters. That Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is one of the best-selling games of all time, right?
So they neglected to go over pricing in this direct. They kind of went afterwards in the Nintendo Treehouse and some of the aftermarket. So this game is going to be $80, right? $80 for this new Mario Kart World. I think it's one of their bigger games because somebody had came out and said it was 23 gigabytes for the download, and that's probably like the biggest Nintendo game we've seen since the Wii U generation, right? Because like everything always seemed to be in this Nintendo Switch one was either like nowhere near 10 gigs, maybe 10 gigs in a couple of games.
Yeah.
So that could be a tribute to the cost. It's probably that how big that game is. So
yeah, they did talk about it being an open world experience. I saw somebody today doing like a little demonstration where you can, I guess it was, you press the plus button and you're basically just free roam across this giant area, and you're on like a highway, and then you can jump over the rail over here and just drive over to one of the tracks and kind of drive around it, explore it at your own will. And
yeah, I saw rail grinding and like jumping across from like nets on the side, like bumpers.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see from that direct in the next 2 weeks to see if this game truly is worth $80. Probably will be. I'm glad they went a different direction because Mario Kart 8 seemed to be like the best of them, like that past generation of like those Mario Karts, and it does seem like they're trying to do something different here. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully that high price means there's updates for free. Well, like I said, we'll see in that direct coming up soon. And then the mysterious C button was the next thing they went into. So they introduced the 3 architects. I think one of the architect from the Switch. There was the 3 main people who contribute to the Switch 2. They brought them on stage, and then they decided to go over the hardware. As they put on here, get ready for a revolutionary pitch. That C button stands for game chat. So it only took them 20-something years to finally catch up to the OG Xbox.
Yeah, original Xbox for sure.
Voice chat has been enabled on Nintendo Switch. So the cool thing is that it seems like, and this came from like a press release from NVIDIA later on, that they're using AI from the NVIDIA DLSS to help with the noise control for that microphone. So they went into their, basically they went in there to, you have these little 4 boxes down at the, you can have these 4 boxes down at the bottom for game chat with or without. But it brings multiple people together and gives you the ability to share a screen, which has been done by other consoles. I'm just saying. And it was very framey too, but it'd be interesting to see it in person. And then also the ability to, the camera, it's like noise canceling. It differentiates game audio and as well as outside noise. So even if you're across from the console, it picks up your voice. And you can hear it clearly, so you don't have to be all on top of that game of your Switch. So, no blending, and I mean, they use an example of somebody doing a protein shake. That's what they noted on here. And it also works with the cool thing, since people do have kids, it does work with parental controls, so you can turn off that feature for kids if you don't want them to have the ability to game chat with people online, which it's warranted.
It's also a very Nintendo move to allow that parental control on that. I wonder if the camera is going to be similar. I know you're going to talk about the camera.
And then they noted.
I was going to say it's probably, I would imagine that they would keep that for in the parental controls.
Yeah. And then they went over
blasted in your living room.
Then they went over the Nintendo Switch camera, which also gave the ability to work with game chat. It's $50.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new accessory that's coming on there. It's just it gives you a way to see the people you're playing with on the screen. They also went on some other stuff on game chat where you can like I said, share your screen. You see people like, oh, I'm stuck here. The other people in your game chat can show, oh, you go over here, go over there. You know, they can kind of dictate where to go, help you out. So it's like it's supposed to be more of a social interaction thing. So I think it's Nintendo's take on that area of the social aspects of game consoles. So
yeah.
Then they came out and said a local play via game share, which they said it was going to be updated on some of the older games and from the Switch. And I think was it Card House, Brant? I can't remember. 51. I forgot what it was called.
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, yeah. Clubhouse 51. It's going to get it updated. So basically, it's kind of like those Game Boy Advance when we used to have those link cables where one person has a copy of the game and you can share and have other people connect with it. So it was a feature that was going to add on there before. So I guess Nintendo's getting pretty big on the sharing aspect because we do see that a lot of this console costs is going up. So I guess they're trying to help alleviate ways for people to have multiple versions of it.
The DS and the 3DS and the PSP did this too, right? Didn't PSP have some share?
Something similar.
Yeah.
Or Vita might have had something too, but
Vita sounds right too.
Then we went into Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. They went to an announcement. I think one of the architects for the Switch said they have a game where basically it shows you the features of the Nintendo Switch. It is a paid game. I think it does have mini games in there, but I think later on it came out that it was 800 or 80 yen or something like that. So we all are just taking a guess it's going to be about $10 because that's closest to $10, or it could be $8. You never know. And
most
it's going to be
figured
like
it would be a pack-in.
Did it look like a $10 experience, like worth going through if we have to pay for it?
Probably.
They showed like the mini games, and I guess that's the sell for it. But the whole aspect is like they started out like, oh, this is going to show you how the Switch 2 works and how you can do different things for it. I think that's kind of like what threw people off. It's like,
yeah,
because I mean, it's not apples to apples, but we do have Astro's Playroom that kind of like helped you introduce the controller and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On the PS5 that was included in there. So the number one selling game on the PS5. So
or like Wii Sports. Like Wii Sports was a great demo of that new hardware that they had out. And that was a pack-in. Is that the best selling Wii game? Wii Sports? Same thing as Astro.
Probably, yeah. Until Wii Sports Resort came out.
Then we went into Wii Remote Plus.
Correct. And then we went into the next bit, which was they're introduced like Switch. There's going to be Switch 2 exclusive games. Switch 1 games were backwards compatible. And then they had Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games, which was where they next used to announce their next game, which was a updated version of Super Mario Party Jamboree. But it will be re-released with new games like Browser Live, where you see King Koopa doing karaoke. It has like other mini games that are not based off of that board game experience. A lot of them were tied to the camera, where they showed an example of somebody using the camera to hit a coin block above their heads in competition. It's a little more of the new interactive stuff. I think there's also, as Brandon has alluded to before this podcast, that there's also a mouse mode where you would use the controllers as a mouse, which is they brought up here and introduced the mouse mode as abilities to grab or climb stuff to go through different areas. I think it's like a roller coaster ride, right, Brant? And every time you completed it, it goes to a mini game that featured the new Joy-Con 2s. So
yeah, it showed the 4 characters together on like a roller coaster, and it was like almost like one of those shooting gallery things where enemies would pop up as they were going on the roller coaster, and you'd have to sit there and shoot them.
Sounds like some of your what was that game that Nintendo Land? It sounds like some Nintendo Land type stuff.
I did kind of skip over this when they went over the hardware part earlier about the game chat. I think they included like that the console was magnetic. They went over like a little like a sizzle reel of like all the stuff really quickly. Like, everything was 1080p. There's HDR on the screen now. I forgot to mention that earlier. Switch to the control. The Joy-Cons are now magnetic. You press the top buttons to release it. There's bigger SL and SR buttons on the top. And I think there's bigger joysticks as well. They didn't say it was a Hall effect, but I think that's what people have been saying, that it's supposed to be Hall effect.
Good.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's going to come later as they go through there. They kind of just went through a sizzle reel of all the changes on the console on there. Now back to what was going on. They went more into the enhanced games and to the new, what they call Nintendo Switch 2 edition games, and they introduced Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom would also receive Switch 2 enhanced games with boasting upgraded graphics and HDR support, and as well as a GPS-like Nintendo app integration, which handles achievements and AI, like voice-assisted chat, where you can ask it to map it away this way, map away that way. A little weird that it still require a smartphone, but I guess it works because nowadays most people have a smartphone, unless you hit a certain age, right?
Did they say what AI language model they're partnering with? Do we know what's feeding that? Okay.
No, it's just voice control, kind of like a Siri or Alexa type thing. So,
gotcha.
I think you can build different devices, own devices in Tears of the Kingdom, and you can share them as QR codes now. So if you have something you like, you basically can send it to one of your friends, and they can build it too.
What's the path to victory on those enhanced ones, or is that going to come up later?
So I think they sell them as a DLC pack, no price included yet. Then they are selling them as a box copy, which at the very bottom it notes is that this is the Switch 1 version of the game, including the upgrade pack. So it's not clear whether or not if this is a Switch 1 card in there, or if it's a Switch 2 card without all of it on the cart, or if it's a Switch 1 card with the DLC voucher. And then I think Nintendo's online users will get these upgrades for free as part of the service. I think it's the Plus service that has it. So
yeah, the Breath of the Wild one is still let's see, it sells for $69.
Nice.
For the Switch 2 upgraded version, or the $79 for Tears of the Kingdom is what they are listed for right now.
I'm taking a guess that the upgrades are for $20, probably. It's my guess.
Yeah.
So, well, that's probably all subject to change with all the ongoing.
Yeah, because they also mentioned that what was it? Kirby and Forgotten Lands is getting a added story bit, like add on to the game. That's also the same as what we're seeing.
And that was $79 for the Kirby. Yep.
Yeah, and it is $79 SKU for the Switch 2 version, or there is as we like to call it, a path to victory, as well as what Cesar was talking about with the Super Mario, the Mario Party Jamboree, plus whatever it was, Jamboree TV. You can also do the path to victory, or you buy I think it's also, it's a $79 SKU as well.
Are these expansions ways for them to try to get people to double dip?
Either that or buy that whatever may be a $10 or $20 upgrade
fee
to get that up. Yeah, get that enhanced version. But at the same time, we did get some information after the fact that certain games would get a enhanced version that would just be an update by popping it into the console. At least right now. Yeah, at least right now, there's 6 games that are on that list, including Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, the Game Builder Garage, new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, the Big Brain Academy, Brain vs. Brain, and the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games.
I would be interested to see those running on this new device too. Didn't Link's Awakening get confirmed to have or is that just a free upgrade?
That was there's part of that upgrade, yeah.
I'm about to say, I think there's more. There's Link's Awakening, like you said, Super Mario Odyssey, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, Clubhouse Games, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser Fury, and surprisingly ARMS,
ARMS.
the
So-
Forgotten franchise.
I haven't thought of ARMS in a
So-
long time.
Yeah, that'd be a neat upgrade to do. So let's see. I think, as Brent alluded, they announced the Zelda games, and the next announcement was the Kirby Forgotten Land, which was the Plus Star Cross World and was announced. Then they went into a special look for Metro Prime 4 Beyond, which they go into details about the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, as well as I think the Switch version was going to have docked 120 frames per second 4K, and also had the ability to use Joy-Con 2 as a mouse control, kind of like for aim assist. So kind of like a keyboard and mouse type situation.
Very cool.
Then they went into Pokemon Legends Z and A, which they did the Nintendo Switch 2 announced edition. I was trying to, I think it was just graphically, right, that they went over. I don't think there was anything huge on there. Next up, they came up with a new game, which was they called Dragon Drive, which was a 3 versus 3 sports game that a lot of people had alluded to it being an episode of King of the Hill, because Bill was in a wheelchair at one point and playing whatever that football game was or basketball game it was.
Yeah.
So essentially, we use both Joy-Cons as mouse controls and drag on a desk or whatever flat surface that you would have to purchase now and keep next to your couch to play these things.
Old TV tray, like from the 90s, one of those metal TV trays with like Pac-Man on it or Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah. To play a wheelchair-based basketball game, which they call Dragon Drive, which was 3 versus 3, and I think which is mostly online. It's something being made by Nintendo. I think it was supposed to come around launch. It was like July or something like that. I can't remember what it was exactly. Outside of that, then they went into a whole sizzle reel of not sizzle reel, but they went into more of a bunch of third-party announcements. So then we did add a quick look at Elden Ring, the Tarnished Edition, which is coming to Switch 2. Then we had Street Fighter 6 was coming on Switch 2 on June 5th, which also included the Year 1 and 2 fighters. Then we had Damien Ex Machina, which is the mech-based game that came out on Switch, the first one. This one's called Titanic Scion, which is coming later this year for Switch 2, PS5, and the Xbox Series consoles and PC. It's coming this fall. Then we had Oba Ke Doro 2 Chase and Seek Edition announced was for Switch 2, which was a asymmetric multiplayer tag game.
Oh.
It's a sequel to Obake Doro, the first one, which I don't think I've ever played, which I think was also on Switch as well.
You look that up.
Then we had Brant's game of the show, which was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, was also coming to Switch 2 this summer. They introduced some new skaters, which I think were more modern skaters in the scene now. And they fell through the water, and it looked like there was a level.
There was SpongeBob
SpongeBob based. Yeah.
Oh,
They kind of hinted at it, but they left it alone.
a nice
then they
teaser.
went-
Did they feature Dante from Devil May Cry?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Then, you never know. Then they went into a message from EA Sports. They announced that EA Sports Football Club, which is always, the Legacy Edition has always been on Switch, was coming to Switch 2, as well as for the first time in 13 years, Madden NFL is now coming back to Nintendo Switch on the Switch 2 console. The next, they announced a multiplayer adventure game called Star Seeker, which is also coming for PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. I think this is the part where it started.
Well, they had
They, freeze it
they
out
had Hitman: World of Assassins coming to Switch 2, as well as
Well, that's later. I got a different list here. It's just
Okay.
getting mixed up with the Japanese one because there's a Shine Post being idle, but that's for Japan. Konami announces co-op survival adventure game Survival Kids. Then they had NBA 2K. 2K came out there, and they said, all right, NBA 2K and WWE 2K was coming to Switch 2. I think before that was what was it? Sid Meier Civilization 7 said that they had the Switch 2 version, which would be I think upgradable from the original Switch 1 edition. Also from 2K, everybody's favorite magician, Randy, came out and talked about Borderlands 4 was also coming to Switch in 2025. Then we went to Yakuza 0 Director's Cut and coming to Switch 2. And then, this, as Brant has alluded, then there was Hitman: World of Assassination was coming from IO on Switch, and IO Interactive from Switch 2. And then they showed a little, not really gameplay based, but a teaser for Project
Very
007 coming for Switch 2 as well. I think this is the part where they had a whole bunch of sizzle reels, right? Because I think at that point they showed off Richard's Game of the Year, Star Wars Outlaws is coming to Switch 2 in 2025. Professor Layton in the New World is adding a Switch 2 version. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S is coming to Switch 2.
What's different in that version, that 2S version?
They did not announce it. They just said it was, I guess, an updated on there.
Sizzle reel.
The Witchbrook, the game that was announced from the last week's Direct, is coming to Switch. It has a Switch 2 version. Ease 10 Prod Nordics, which is a upgraded version of Ease 10, is coming to Switch 2. 2 Point Museum is also coming to Switch 2, which is an upgraded version. Goodnight Universe adds a Switch 2 version, as well as a Hollow Knight Silk Song adds a Switch 2 version.
If it ever comes out.
They had to slide that in. It says Silk Song 2025, so they had to just kind of slide that in
this year, Brant,
nonchalantly.
Then we went into, what was it? They did a little video reel of Cyberpunk 2077, which is coming in June 5th as a launch day title for Switch 2. Human Fall Flat is coming to Switch 2, and then you had Tamagotchi Plaza. There's a Switch 2 version. Then they had, like I said, this is a lot of this still part of the sizzle reel outside of the Cyberpunk. Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer, the arcade version of Ridge Racer, is
big announcement
coming to Switch 2. There's a native version of Fortnite coming to Switch 2. You had Reanimal, which adds a Switch 2 version. And they said Sonic X Shadow Generations is coming to Switch 2 as 2025. Also, the game announced from the games announced from last week, No Sleep for Kananame Date from AI, has a Switch 2 version. So does Raido Remastered. Then you have Shadow Labyrinth, also has a Switch 2 version. And Fast Fusion it's been announced for Switch 2, which is that game from like Shinen Multimedia, which is kind of like a F-Zero mixed up with Wipeout.
That was a strong Switch launch title. It was like a port of the Wii U one, but that was a strong title. I bought that one and played a lot of it.
Then you have Joseph came out and said that Fiction was coming to Switch 2 on launch day, June 5th. And then we had a teaser that looked like it was Final Fantasy IX remake that ended up being a Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD remaster coming to Switch too.
So we had heard rumors of them being like a first party forward launch, but this is a strong third party launch list, especially if you don't have any of these games.
And then we also had, was it Deltarune? Yeah, Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 was coming out. It's going to be $29.99. June 5th is coming for PS5, Switch 2, PS4, Switch, and PC. So it's going to include 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then it's $29.99. It's the only price you're going to pay for because there's 7 chapters. So you just pay this price, you get all access to all 7 chapters. Enter the Gungeon 2 was announced for Switch 2. Then you had a announcement from Square Enix, where they said that Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrated was coming to Switch 2. And then we had some more sizzle reel stuff like Kinitsu Gami, which was that game on PS5 and Xbox, is going to get a Switch 2 version. Story Seasons, that Grand Bazaar adds a Switch 2 version. Rune Factory, which comes out in May, but I think got pushed back to June. Now we know why it got pushed back to June, because there is a Switch 2 version coming out. Yep. Brandt's Game of the Year, Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition is coming for PS5, Switch 2.
We made this happen.
Then we have Wild Hearts S, which I guess the S stands for Switch. I don't know.
Are we going to get a lot of those? We're going to get a lot of the S nomenclature?
Don't know.
Could be.
This comes out for July 25th for Switch 2. One of the announcements that I kind of glossed over in the beginning was Hades 2 is also coming to Switch 2 and Switch, apparently. And then we went into, looks like an announcement from a new game from Nintendo in partnership with Tecmo Koei, and it turned out to be Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which takes place at a certain time inside Tears of the Kingdom that was kind of just glossed over with some memories. So now you get more of the backstory of what happened to Zelda in that game. Then they went in.
I know those games are really good, and they add so much to the lore of that, the newer Zelda stories.
Well, the first one that Hyrule Warrior, well, not the first one, but the one that was recently on Switch, was that Age of Calamity?
That sounds right.
Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Mm-hmm. That one was not bad, but yeah, that did not run well on Switch. So,
and you had the one before that was on Wii U and 3DS, right?
3DS
to
new
3DS. I thought so.
You had to it was one of the only new 3DS titles, had to have the new one.
That and Xenoblade, right? Or there are many more?
I don't know. I can't remember offhand.
Good trivia question, right?
Correct. And then they went into an announcement that also coming to NSO was GameCube games. The long-awaited GameCube games.
Awesome.
They showed off
NXO Plus expansion pass only if you have Switch 2.
That's only for Switch 2.
Only for Switch 2. So they showed off Wind Waker. I almost said HD. Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, then F-Zero, which was a GX. I think that's what is on the.
Yeah, it's X on 64. It's GX on GameCube.
And I think those were coming out launch. And I think they showed like a sizzle reel of what's coming out later on in the year, which I think was Super Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem, Pokemon XD, Super Mario Strikers, Chibi Robo, Luigi's Mansion, and I think Pokemon Coliseum were kind of like the stuff that's like, all right, they're gonna be out here at the end of the later on this year. They showed off that you can buy a NSO version or like a emulator version of a GameCube controller. Because it's hard for me to say because there's been so many versions of the GameCube controller released on the Switch. But this one also includes the game chat button at the very top right, and I think this is going to be exclusive to NSO members on the Nintendo site.
I like that. Yeah. I like how they're funneling the top tier members through some of these purchases. That's like $1,000 in GameCube games that you just rattled off.
Yeah,
it's so great that those are coming to this platform. Another thing to remember, F-Zero, right off the top of my hand, F-Zero GX and Soul Calibur 2 feature widescreen modes. Those were in the GameCube game, so you can play those.
Progressive scan.
Native widescreen on this on the Switch 2. I'm excited to see what this emulation looks like and how that screen leverages these games.
They also showed off the fact that you'll be able to edit the controls for your GameCube enjoyment. So you can literally go in and kind of switch the button layout to your liking.
Yep, and I think they also the ability to like F-Zero was one they utilized was that you can play online with other people, and also like I said that was we alluded before the game chat button's built on the controller, so you can obviously use game chat on these emulations to play with other people online. So
and it features the full like rewind capabilities and save states and all that, right? That's to me that's
I believe everything else in there.
That's mind blowing for a GameCube style game. You know, for somebody who grew up tinkering around with SNES 9X and playing with those settings and rewinds and save states is for it to be in a GameCube game is just bonkers to me.
Then they went on to a teaser for a new game. They started off that looks very much similar to like Bloodborne. It was like a mixture of Bloodborne mixed with Elden Ring. It was like a lot of stuff on there, and then as you've guessed it was called From Software's The Dusk Bloods, which, as I think they said later on from Miyazaki, that it was a PvPvE, player versus environment, multiplayer game. So, because it's not like this is not a solo game, possibly. Okay. It's not a solo game because I think they were talking on the developer chat where he said that our next two games are multiplayer games, and it's like we're not going to be only doing that. It just so happened this is how it worked out. He said we're still going to make single player experiences like Elden Ring in the future. So this is going to be exclusive to the Switch 2, and this comes out in 2026. Nothing on price, nothing on release date other than that. It looks interesting on there, but a lot of people ate it up because people have been clamoring for Bloodborne remake, re-release, Bloodborne 2, anything Bloodborne related. And it's kind of like, I don't know, man. It's kind of like a lot of people say it's a fuck you to Sony, I guess, before Sony became a partner on that studio.
It's a big get.
Yeah,
it's a huge get. For,
like it's like you won't let us make Bloodborne 2 our way or whatever, and here it is, something that's looks like that could be from that universe.
Spiritual successor.
Yeah. Then we went into a new preview for a game made. Was it? Yep, from Sora LTD from Masahiro Sakurai, and it started off with Kirby on a star that busted, and he kind of hits it and it flies off, and it looks like Kirby Air Ride, and then it turns into Kirby Air Riders in the title. And so this is Masahiro's next game, made in conjunction with Namco Bandai. Namco Bandai is a busy studio.
They are right now, right? Their output is unbelievable.
So So there's, believe it or not, there's 2 racing games coming for Switch 2 this year because it says it's coming this year, and it's a sequel to Kirby Air Ride. That's all. Other than it's showing it's coming 2025. A lot of people were excited about this. Some people were disappointed that the next game announced was Donkey Kong Bonanza and not Diddy Kong Racing Remake, which would complete the trilogy of the racing games that would have came out this year.
Or Donkey Kong Racing. Remember, we were supposed to get Donkey Kong Racing for GameCube from Rare. Have y'all played Kirby's Air Ride? The first one.
It's been a long time since I played it, but I do have a copy.
I don't think I've ever messed with that one.
It's pretty good.
Was that one originally by Sakurai-san?
I believe so.
Really?
I believe this is
Yes.
one of his OG ones. Yep.
Yep.
So, outside of that, the Nintendo did the whole the one more thing type situation, and the last game they ended on was Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is which included the redesigned Donkey Kong, which looks more the old school Donkey Kong, more in line, I guess, with the Mario Brothers movie. It's a retro one. This was a 3D platformer where they showed a lot of smashing through the ground type situations. I believe, and this is they're on a world, underground world of like Ingot Isle.
Mhm.
And they said it was a game. What their words on here for Polygon, and a game that looks like a worthy successor to his earlier ventures. And the game drops a month after the Switch 2, which is July 17th. I think some people have said that this was made by the Bowser game from 3D Mario World, or what was that game?
Fury? You guys
Fury,
love that one.
And they said it looks like it's made from that same team.
Okay.
That's what they were. What I was reading online. I don't have confirmation for that. This is going to launch for $70, which we were talking about earlier with the knee-jerk reaction with a lot of the random pricing. Rumor is supposedly the game is not super long, so it might be why it's not a full.
It looks so good.
Price game.
Yeah.
But that, in a nutshell, has been everything that was announced in that direct. A little over an hour. They've been having Nintendo
Treehouse
events all week where they kind of go on little deeper dives of some of the games they've been playing on there. They've been having gaming influencers going out and playing it, and they've been kind of giving their looks on YouTube and on social media accounts like Twitter and everything. So like if you go look there, you can kind of get a different view of stuff on there. There's been a trickle of news from other places because it's a whole bunch of stuff coming out at once. Like we had the thing from Nvidia came out where they said that how they helped design the new chipset for Nintendo, and it's 10 times more powerful than the original Switch. And then just today we had news trickled in there where they mentioned that all the Switch games on there is not running native on that console. It's all running through an emulator. Which somebody had made a joke saying no wonder they bought Ryujin and took it offline. They're just using that as an emulator for the console.
They've been known to use stuff like that, right? Like,
yeah.
Let somebody else develop it for them.
Yeah. Yep. So I think they mentioned that's why I think there's a whole website dedicated to backwards compatibility. I think there is 122 Switch games from Nintendo. And I think, 4 or 5 of them do not work on the Switch 2. Or work properly, and most of them tends to be either Labo based, and it's because they require Switch 1 Joy-Cons, kind of like the Wario game, Wario Moves, and a lot of those 1-2 Switch. A lot of those Joy-Con games are required. OG Joy-Con games are required to run out for those, so they have like what they call runs with the an exception type thing.
Yeah,
and then they said.
From what I understand, it seems like a lot of the Labo stuff used the Switch itself. Like you had to slide it in to the cardboard stuff and whatnot. But from my understanding, it seems like you can actually pair the old Joy-Cons to the new Switch if you need to. It can you can pair the old Pro controller and the Joy-Cons, and you can still use your GameCube controller adapter on there and everything like that.
That's what
the
third platform that supports that GameCube controller adapter.
Yeah, the only things you couldn't use were like the old, like you can't put your Switch 2 in the old Switch dock. Apparently the HDMI cord is no good
Not
either.
Compatible,
it uses
right?
It uses a different HDMI.
It needs to because it has to be 2.0 for the
The VRR.
for the VRR and the 120 frame, 20
Mhm.
hertz
Yeah.
frames per second. And then anything that requires the original Joy-Cons, which was I think Ring Fit Adventure, 1-2 Switch, everybody 1-2 Switch, Game Builder was one of them. Nintendo Switch Sports requires a Joy-Con. WarioWare Move It, all the Labos, they will work, but they will require the Switch 1. The only one that will not play on the Switch 2 would be the Lab Toy-Con 04, which was the VR kit, which you would put in that box and put over your face. Outside of that, I think we also got confirmation. So we got confirmation there was 122 games Nintendo made for the Switch. We also got confirmation there's over 15,000 games made for the Switch as well. So I think it was about almost 200 of those 15,000 does not work properly. Some of them have compatibility issues. Some of them will not start up. So I come to say this fact on here that they were talking about the emulation is that they said they had to individually test each game in the emulation to see if it works and see if it breaks anywhere.
So crazy.
So they said that they have to physically test each game and see what happens.
Whose job is
that? And so I don't know, they have somebody to do that.
A warehouse full of people.
Yeah.
So if you're curious, there's a website. You can take a look at that list to see if anything matches on there. I mean, there's some big games on there, believe it or not. So hopefully they'll get those resolved. The only ones that are concerning is probably the games that came out 5 or 6 years ago, because a lot of these studios probably closed down or changed leadership, or so that will be up in the air if those will ever be patched to work. So, and as thinking inside the box alluded to here, that one thing we forgot to mention that they kind of glossed over that they didn't mention on the Direct itself, but afterwards in some media announcements, is that there's different ways to acquire games for that console, for the Switch 2. So you have a Switch 2 cards, which could either have the full game or not.
Yeah.
Which were partial downloads. And then they said that there's something new that they're trying, which was called Game Keys, which essentially is just a CD key version, I think, which the OG Xbox One wanted to do, where you would insert that physical copy into the console, and there's no game data on there. It would just download it digitally. So as for gamers, it sucks as a collector. I would say for gamers. As a collector, it sucks, because as a collector, there's nothing on that cart. But as somebody who has the ability to loan out games, to resell games, it works for those, because those games are not locked to your system. They are locked to the cart. So if you were to loan out that game or to resell it, you can. It's not like you use up that copy and it's stuck to that console. So
it's not the worst case scenario, right?
Yes, as a collector, it's a bad thing, right? If you go through games and just like, oh, here, loan them out or trade them in all the time, outside of just having to worry about storage space and making sure to download stuff, that'd be your biggest inconvenience. Yeah. So,
right now we only know of 3 games that are using that game key route. Street Fighter 6, that Bravely Defaults.
I hate that one. That one sucks. I know Cesar's upset about it too.
Yeah. And what was it? Elden Ring?
Elden Ring. I think PlayAsia said Elden Ring was one of them. So
yeah, and more than likely, we're guessing that the Final Fantasy VII Intergrade will probably be on that same...
It will have to be, because I think they were able to get Cyberpunk on a 64 gig card. It depends on how much they can cram in that 64 gig card, because it's like the Final Fantasy VII Remake's 100 gig game. It's over 100 gigs.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have to cram it. And I mean, they've already done Bravely Default. That's that fucking game key thing. I would not imagine that, unless they predict it's going to sell well and they can pay money for that 64 gig and they compress the fuck out of it, So who knows? Let's hope they don't go that route. Hopefully this is only a temporary thing, and maybe we'll get some updated versions later on with complete on card as game card prices drop. So
I mean, consumers are going to let the manufacturers know. As you always say, vote with your wallet, and people don't want to pick up these versions. They're just not going to. But that percentage is probably skewed, because you're going to have a lot of people pay for the digital copy on Street Fighter 6. We've already seen that shift in digital versus physical. So they may be just testing the market to see how many people actually buy these physical cards.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the fighting game community, you're probably going to buy a digital copy for Street Fighter 6 at that point. I mean, because that's probably want to keep in your rotation, not having to worry about it, taking a card in there every time. So
It also
it just all depends. So
it also benefits
that's the
you,
stupid thing for. I was just gonna say that's the stupid thing for me because it's like you either have the option to buy it digitally because if you buy this game cart, you still technically download the full game, but now you have to have this game cart inserted into your system just to play it.
It's like the old school PC games where you had to have a CD in there when even though you might install the game off the CD always has to be there to CD check.
So keep up with this itty bitty tiny because they showed us the game cards how they look. They're the exact same size and style as Switch. They're just red. So
they are just red.
We've seen retailers get away from physical media, right? But Nintendo's kind of the stalwart. They're still kind of running that out there. So thinking inside the box, I agree with a lot of your thoughts on consumers still buying it and how that works. But we also benefit, like, they haven't done one in a while, but like Target will do a buy two get one. So that could be your best way of getting Street Fighter 6 at a good deal is that you pay for that physical copy at retail and get that buy two get one on that SKU.
Yeah, the physical copies tend to go on sale more quickly. I mean, we even seen
also that, and you can find them in clearance, right? You're not going to find a digital
Woot
copy.
Will have a clearance, like it's been having a shit ton of clearance games, and you never know. So
that's the time to pick those up.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I think you just know that if it's going to come in game key, you're not getting my full dollar amount, and you'd be more likely to buy. I would be more likely to buy used before I would buy new. So
not a day one game key version, right?
Let's say I feel like I have to address thinking inside the box. There is a lot of people rage baiting and going around and talking about how physical games on the Switch are more. And they're saying that it's $80. This game is $80, but if you want it physical, it's $90. That is not the case. There is only a $90 SKU. Or not a 90. There is no $90 SKU. There's only the $79 SKUs.
So only for America, right? There's a $10 discrepancy in Europe. There's a $10 discrepancy in Japan as well. Because Donkey Kong is $10 more.
Why did they do that?
That's the physical version.
I
think it's because retail space still has a hold on manufacturers in the United States. So if they're not going to have you sell their physical copy because you see Amazon doesn't sell first-party Nintendo games anymore.
Yeah, they don't.
They won't let you undercut. They don't want you to pay less on on the digital marketplace and not get their portion.
Yeah. So I mean, they've done away with it.
That's been the way since like the Xbox 360, right? We always thought digital distribution was going to be cheaper, and it's just not. They can't cut out those retailers of that. Not yet, but as they scale back a physical presence, maybe we get more parity in that environment.
There's more consumer protection in Asia and in Europe. That's why you can see stuff like that because they won't let retailers bully people around like that. It's different in America. So
we like to get exploited.
Yeah.
Maximum profit.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of people talking about $90 for the games, and it's not true. I've seen it a lot going around. I mean, it sucks. Unfortunately, the economic state of the world and all these damn tariff trade war things that are going on at the moment is going to negatively impact us for a while for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, strap in. I'm hoping the price of this console doesn't go up. I think they've said that it'll be unaffected, but I don't see how.
Well, they said that was going to be unaffected until today, where they said that April 9th pre-order is we're pushing that back, and they haven't announced that.
Trying times we're headed to.
Yeah, I think inside the box, I think a lot of people pulling. I mean, they're not wrong. I think they're using examples for different regions. America, I think it's apples for apples, but in Europe and Japan, the pricing is different. Yes, it is cheaper to get digital there.
Yes.
And they're also big. Like I've talked on the show about being hooked on that YouTube channel content with like hard off and book off. Like they take care of their physical media and then turn it in for resale or recycle for somewhere else.
But we shall see on the pricing and everything on there. I mean, I think when it comes to tariffs, all right. So how tariffs work is like if they enact tariffs are supposed to enact tomorrow, right? So if you enact tariffs on cars, let's give you an example for cars, 25%. Any vehicle that's already located here, that's still on the lot as a new vehicle, would not be tariffed. It only applies to anything that's coming in after the tariffs are enacted. So I use that as an example because if they have any Nintendo Switch 2 consoles already located here, that's if they have them here, that original batch would not be, the tariffs would not apply for that original batch. But anything afterwards would. So at that point, you have to look at it like, let's say if they have a couple million here, at that point, you have to look at it like, all right, do I increase the price now? Because you don't want to say like, all right, it's $450 now, but when we get our new batch, they're $600, because that's going to cause chaos, in the market, because everybody's going to try to buy one before the price jumps up.
Right.
So do you just take a middle ground and say, all right, it should be 600 with the tariffs, 550? You know what I mean? And just make it, spread it out so you can have more of a consistent pricing to know when you assume that that's going to go away, right? At some point, if you hope, depending on when you just guess. So I think that's why they took it off the pre-orders, because it's like something they got to look at, where they have to do a baseline price, where they don't have like these knee-jerk reactions where they influx the market with buyers who are trying to get it at a low price and they're going to try to resell it later. And we didn't talk about it here, but they're trying to do some ways to combat scalpers. I mean, Nintendo is, at least if you buy from Nintendo, because you can go to their website, say you have interest for the console, and they're going to send you an invite to purchase it, with some caveats where you had to have was a Nintendo Switch Online, the service, for at least a year consistently for I think was it 12 months. Had to have at least 50 hours of gameplay from your Nintendo Switch since you had it. I think at least 50, and all this had to be done before. And this all had to be done before February of this year. So it's like you can't just sit there and knock it out.
You can't just make an account. Put a game on your Switch and let it run.
It's brilliant concept.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like I think they took the what was it, the Steam Deck concept and put it further, because remember Steam Deck, I think it was you had to have an account a month prior and at least have so many games in your account, and I don't think they had a playtime on there, but that's and all those are kind of locked, so it's like it makes it difficult for people to buy multiples, and resell it is not worth it in my opinion. So, but I mean that's kind of like, there's a lot we talked about here. That's why most of this was switched to like a Switch 2 episode.
Yeah.
Even though it's called 343, which would be mostly an Xbox-based one, but
I think Inside the Box would be down for the Xbox-centric discussions.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll get one soon with that Asus ROG. They've been teasing online, so that Microsoft's been kind of winking at, like, hey, look at here. But we should get some good stuff later on this year. So, but yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's everything. I don't know if Brant wants to add. I kind of over talked Brant on here, so. Anything we might have missed?
Did you about to say? I feel like you kind of glanced over some of the hardware specs. I know we already talked about it's powered by NVIDIA's new thing. They've added like improved speakers to the console, 3D audio. We talked about how the console has a built-in mic,
headphone jack.
Noise like you said, noise filtering. With noise filtering on the mic.
Noise canceling. 2 USB-C, one on the top, one located still on the bottom.
They're gonna do some fun stuff with that top one. I think they're gonna add some cool things.
Undocked, your Switch 2 will boast 1080p at up to 120 frames per second on the brand spanking new LCD screen with HDR support.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Docked will support 4K. Still has HDR. I believe they said also supports ray tracing, and there were some other things that they were talking about in one of the tree houses within the past couple of days.
Like you said, upscaled to 4K. There's a built-in fan in the dock, like you said, that keeps it cool, which is interesting. But
which a lot of people that have been doing the hands-on stuff, a lot of the influencers, they said that it gets pretty warm in your hands. It doesn't get like hot, but it does get fairly warm. It's working pretty hard. Like
you said, the battery's 2 to 6 hours.
Yeah,
basically what we're used to with the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally.
Around 2 to 6. So it's very baseline for those handheld PCs.
Yeah.
They made it
and
sound
they've-
like the running those Switch games in emulation mode is not going to be as much as a battery hog.
Oh,
They
yeah.
said what they
I would
avoided to
assume.
do. If that article was pretty good. They said what they avoided to do was they didn't want to have the Switch 2 OS running a Switch a Switch OS and drain the battery quickly. So they have emulators. So it's not supposed to be as intensive on the battery. You're not like running two OSs to do Switch 1 games. So
they did upgrade the internal storage to
Substantially.
a whopping 256 gig storage. Along with that, they did go into the fact that you will not be able to take your old SD card and just plop it in the new system. This new system only uses the SD Express memory cards.
which are not too
Which
terribly
it was
expensive.
rumored to use. There are a few out there that are.
The 1 terabyte was over $100, which is where you can get a terabyte on the SDs now for less than 50.
Yeah.
But I think there's 256 and 512, and then there's a 1 terabyte that just came out. I think it was close to 149 or almost 200, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 200 sounds about right. I think I looked at them right after the show. Well, GameStop leaked the Express thing a couple months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
The brand new Pro controller, and also, which they didn't mention, the Joy-Con grips, the grip that you slide the little Joy-Cons into, both actually have extra buttons on the grips. For they're like programmable little triggers. It's where you can macro a different control, as well as the Pro controller, of course, now has the new C button as well as a headphone jack. Trying to think if there was anything else I was going to try to see. A lot of the Pro controller itself is going to, I think, go for 80.
Are there
It
any
looked
big
like
improvements on that one over the original Switch Pro controller?
Outside of the programmable buttons, like Brant said there, and the C button,
the sticks.
I think they're supposed to be they touted better HD rumble on this whole stream. I think the HD rumble is supposed to be better on that controller as well as the Joy-Cons.
Okay.
So that's what they said. More accurate HD rumble. Hopefully closer to the PS5 one, which I feel is probably the best controller out there. I said it.
By far.
But yeah.
A lot of people that have had the hands-on, they say it does feel comparable to kind of that DualSense rumble.
I love me some DualSense, man.
Me too.
I used Xbox used to be my favorite controller at 360, man, and the Xbox One, but that DualSense, man, holy shit, I love that controller.
It's another level. It adds a lot to the immersion.
Yeah, a lot of, like we were talking about, a lot of the games, they seem to cap out at 79. Some of these other ones range anywhere from, Bravely Default seems to be around 39. Street Fighter 59.
Which is not bad for Street Fighter, because it includes both Year 1, Year 2 DLC, which is typically $29 each.
That's a good bundle, even with the key card.
Not bad. It's not bad. Yeah.
They did announce some new amiibo to go along with Legend of Zelda and Street Fighter as well. And I know there was something I saw that had the accessory pricing on it.
We haven't got a new amiibo announcement in a while, right? This is the first one.
I think they finished with the Smash Brothers.
Sora.
Sora was the last one. After that, they kind of we were getting Splatoon based ones trickling in ever so often.
That's right.
I'm still waiting for my Splatoon 3 update. As well as I'm excited, guys. If we do get this console at some point, all three of us at some point, doesn't have to be launch, but we can finally play Splatoon 3 like God intended. So, because Game Chat is compatible with, I think, the emulators as well as Switch 1 games. That's built in to
it's a nice
OS. It's not like, you can only get it for Switch 2 games, which kind of kills it. So it's finally we got something that's been promised to us that works well. We can finally add Splatoon 3 to our repertoire.
And I'm assuming they'll integrate that really well, like they tend to do with their OSs.
Unfortunately, I know that some retailers or only doing online pre-orders, which is going to be interesting. Like I heard Best Buy is only doing online pre-orders. They're not taking in-store pre-orders for some reason.
But you could do in-store pickup, right, for their midnight launch. They're doing old school
I mean,
midnight launch.
Now, we all been to Best Buy, right? When's the last time that there's an open video game outside of accessories just laying in that store, right? I don't think I've seen one. Yeah, I think they clearly. I could do store pickup all day long on games.
About to
and pick up. They just don't have them up openly out in the open. So I think they you have to buy the game online and pick up in store. So I think that's the model they've adhered to. So.
Which works for me.
Hey man, they did the whole document about, like, as Richard had said, that they're doing a midnight opening. They believe gaming's still big at Best Buy, and we looked at that list. There's a lot of locations in the United States that you can order online and do store pickup, which is really, really cool.
Get it when it comes out, just old school style.
It helps too when you have UPS and FedEx that sometimes know what you're getting, and they're like, "Oh, I delivered this," and it never got to your place, which has happened in the past. Yeah,
my PS5 still riding around.
I think it happened to a friend of the show, Sly, a couple times with his his first PS5 and an Xbox or something like that. Where they delivered it. Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. As I, for one of the three of us, I did my attention on Nintendo's website to get one.
I did as well.
I kicked the idea around with Richard, not yet Brant, about doing the midnight opening until I found out that Richard would no longer be available for the midnight opening, which kind of killed it for me.
I would absolutely have done that.
So I think I'm on the camp where I don't know if I'm going to look for it. But if I get invited to purchase one, I may think about it. May end up to yes. I'm more of along the lines, because there's not a solid release date for Metro Prime 4, that I might just hold off until when that comes out and hope there's a bundle and just pick it up.
Yeah.
Because that Mario Kart World one is a limited edition bundle. So I think the way they made it sound like is once it's gone, it's gone. So that's what they made it sound like.
Sucks.
But
please, their highest selling bundle is the Switch with Mario Kart. You're telling me for the next 7 years we're not going to get a Switch 2 SKU bundle with Mario Kart?
World.
Mario Kart World.
Absolutely think we will over the holidays, but they're not going to take a $30 hit forever. They'd rather you spend that $90 instead of saving $30. So that's just my opinion. It's not like it's not the same price, or you're saving $10, you're saving $30.
True.
Oh, because it's $50 for that game. That's like the best way to get that game, and that's something that you're going to play digitally a lot. So
it's a good one to have that way.
Yeah. But so that's just me personally. I don't know how y'all feel about it. That I'm still up in the air. Just all depends on where the cards lay for me. If something comes my way, I'll think about it. Because I think they said once you send you the invite, you have 3 days, 2 days or 3 days to make the purchase. Okay. So they give you a couple of days of all right, it was something. It's not immediate for me. I'm not all right, fuck yeah, let's go in there. I would have to probably think about it, because it's I'm like, there's not really much enhancements to the Switch games, because I have a lot of Switch games I haven't played. Some of that backwards compatibility article, they said that or I think I've watched Digital Foundry, where they said that somebody had said somewhere where there's some games that run better from the Switch on there, but they didn't go into details, because I think they don't know. Based off that original article that's why they're still testing.
Yeah. So
we don't know the reaches of how these games are affected, right? So we may have some more games that are not backwards compatible, or we may have some games that run better. We don't know yet. I
wonder if some will be worse. They had some PS5 Pro examples where the game ran worse on the PS5 Pro.
So yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a lot of beta testing type stuff here. So if you're in the mood for that, then if there's some people who want the latest tech. You want to play Mario Kart? I think that's your biggest get day one. Everything else is third party that you can get on other devices way cheaper.
We'll let the early adopters go,
and then get full copies on disc if you wanted a physical copy, or close to, because I know Elden Ring. License. I know Elden Ring's on Ultra Blu-ray, and it's all 100 gigs are on there. But outside of maybe some updates and the
Some patches.
The patches and the expansion pack. But as Richard had said, I mean, if you're gonna go digital, it's typically cheaper to go, PC. So as people said, this is gonna make people switch to PC. So
switch to PC.
Yeah.
We've had some good Switch jokes in here. We had switch the buttons earlier too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was very excited on after watching the direct, but when they didn't announce pricing, that was a little iffy. And then I was like, it's probably going to come out on that brand new news app or whatever. And then of course within, I don't know, probably an hour or so, they announced the price. They're killing themselves on these game prices being everywhere in all these regions.
Brand, you're bringing it back up, man. You're hurting my feelings. Like that Bravely Default being game key card pisses me off so fucking much, man. That pisses me off so fucking much.
When that came out, because they didn't say anything about that during the direct. That just here's a they put a bunch of stuff on the website, and there was like a bunch of interviews with the developers. And
they put all the bad news on the website.
They put all the bad news on the website.
That's good.
They buried everything. They just sweeped it under. Like, oh, by the way.
They're like, let's not mention this. Let's just put it on the website, push it back.
Don't highlight your faults and weaknesses. That's 101.
I mean, that's marketing, right? That's what you're supposed to do. So
that killed part of my soul there, seeing that.
Bravely Default is not even that big of a game, right? Like, why even?
It's a fucking 3DS game.
Why even do that?
The more that I keep thinking about it, I know I mentioned this. We were spitting stuff around yesterday. The more that the mouse controls keep getting brought up, it's cool for some of the stuff, but realistically, every time they showed somebody playing this thing, they were sitting on a couch. Then anytime they showed anybody using the mouse controls, they had it on a flat surface. And there's even like a little magnetic, almost like a little roller thing, or some kind of attachment that goes onto the Joy-Con that lets it slide easier around the surface. If you're playing on your couch, you don't necessarily have. You may have like a coffee table in front of you or something, but you don't have a flat surface like right there at your lap or anything. Like, can I just do the mouse stuff on my leg? Am I supposed to do it on the couch beside me, on the arm of the couch? Like, is it not going to work if I do that? Do I have to do it on a flat surface? What was wrong with just using the gyro that was in the Switch 1? Because like they did a bunch of on-rail shooters and the House of the Dead remake, and
that was well implemented with that control type.
Yeah, even the Switch Sports, which is basically just Wii Sports titles, kind of brought over using that gyroscopic stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't.
But
to me,
there's a lot of people that dock their Switch in a PC like setup. So it's all
for those
about
that put it on a desk. Yeah, I'm sure that works great for them.
I don't want to take over from Brant, but I think what he's trying to say is, for us, it may not make sense. We have multiple ways of playing stuff at a cheaper value because we already spent the money up front. PC, Xbox, Steam Deck, ROG,
right,
PlayStation 5, Switch. As somebody who's primarily a Nintendo Switch user and that's all they use it for, and I've have coworkers at my job that all they play is Switch.
Yeah,
that's all they play. This is the perfect direct for them, right? They're missing all the third-party games that Geo's bringing to them now. That makes it an even playing field from the other consoles.
The power of the hockey sweater.
A new way to play games that for people who like Wish don't fucking play PC games because they don't want to spend $10,000 on a PC, which I've never seen one. Yeah, I don't know why they're like $10,000 PC new car, $10,000 PC new car, but
just to play
yeah. This console is pretty much made for them. As for us, who primarily used it to play, some indie titles, some not too much for third party, but mostly for speaking about myself. I don't want to speak for you guys, but mostly Nintendo games, some indie games that are exclusive to them. For certain lengths of time, it's a harder grab for us because you look at the very beginning is all we're getting is what Mario Kart World, which is a big one. I'm not going to downplay that because Mario Kart's always a good time, and seems like a big game and something you can pour a lot of hours into.
It does.
Donkey Kong looks good.
Donkey Kong does look good.
That is your release window, right? Outside of some GameCube games which we all have
Donkey
versions
Kong's,
that we can play. So
Donkey Kong's coming out later.
The next month.
It's not
a
even
month later. Yeah, it's a month later. So I'd say release window within like the first couple months.
Fair.
There was nothing announced in August, and so we know there's stuff coming out later on this year. So I mean, there's outside of maybe the Room Factory game like Guardians, which was already exclusive to Switch, was something I was going to pick up. Story Seasons, I think that's coming on PC also, so you have that option on there. But like we already have a way to play 7 Remake, Kunitsugame, which is part of Game Pass, which you can play if you're a Game Pass member right now. Deltarune's coming on everything. Bravely Default is exclusive to it. Split Fiction is playable on everything. Fast Fusion is exclusive to it. Shadow Labyrinth is coming to everything. Raido is coming to everything. Kananame Date is coming to everything. So I mean, unless you were stuck in this Switch ecosystem, like for us, it's like I mean, I already have Elden Ring on my ROG or my Steam Deck. So
these are heavy hitter third party titles that we didn't see on like the Wii U and the GameCube and the Wii, obviously, because the Wii was underpowered. So that's a strong slate of titles that people may have been on the outside looking in at. Yeah, like you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not downplaying it at all because I think in the future. This like Richard is saying, this evens the playing field, right? So next year it might be a different story. Like, I know this is coming to Switch too. So do I get this version because I had this more on the go? This one's, and as Brent has alluded to when they talked about the hardware, it's the same. You get a bigger screen, and it's thinner, right? It's the same thinness up from the original Switch. And for me, that's the biggest selling point for me because it's easier for me to fire up a Switch. To play a game quickly, to put to sleep and get it out of there. Yeah. Steam Deck is probably the closest second because it's just about the same outside of it eating a good bit of battery when it goes to sleep. And the ROG being the worst because it's a Windows-based machine.
It has to do Windows first, yeah.
And I pray to God that the Xbox helps create a UI that helps fix that just like a gaming mode.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be top-tier Windows gaming when they get that out and going. So
a real light Windows kernel for the gaming mode.
Correct. But still have the full version of Windows. I think, oh my God, Microsoft will kill it. That will make it invaluable because we have Renee in the chat here asking about, a gaming laptop. And I was like, if they ever figured that out, I was like, just get a ROG, or get the latest generation of the ROG because it does the full Windows experience and it has the gaming part that is what you need, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't want to talk over you guys.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it. I'm on the fence. I mean, there's nothing in there that outside of maybe Mario Kart World that makes me want to go day one.
Yeah.
It makes me want to go day one less when you guys are not part of it because I would rather have Mario Kart as an experience with you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or we could jump on here and play Splatoon 3 or play other Switch games that we missed out on because we didn't have voice chat. So
yeah.
We had to shoehorn
that's the other
on the phone.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I'm a little hung up on because Nintendo is so Nintendo. They're known to get in their own way. I've got a lot of questions about game chat and how that works. It looks very similar to Discord. It looks clean. The little camera implementation is pretty cool, so you can see people. The resolution for that camera was booty hole. But I'm hearing things like you might be able to plug in any USB-C camera. And even Hori is making a very clever PD Piranha style camera. I don't know if you all have seen that.
I will purchase that one over the other one.
And the mouth, PD's mouth closes to actually like do a privacy mode on the camera when you're not
They understood the assignment.
It's fucking gold.
It's perfection.
It's fucking gold.
It's perfection.
But they're gonna have to completely overhaul the way they do things, because they don't have a party system at the moment. The way you look up friends, you have to have friend codes still. So like, and if it's actually going to work right away, because I'm assuming, because this is going to be their first time doing it, it's going to have some growing pains.
I
Because
think Game Chat, and we forgot to say that you have to have NSO for it, right?
yeah, you
So I
have to
think
have NSO.
You get a
It's free until
trial.
what?
Yeah, you get a
To like
trial.
March of next year or some March of 2026 or something like that, where it's free till then. So,
But-
sorry, Brandon, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
to bring your point up there, I think that might be why they know there's going to be issues, because that's why they have free trial till March of next year, because by then we'll figure it out.
Do you think they'll,
'Cause
with these added benefits, they'll increase the price on us of the Nintendo Switch Online?
They're following that Sony pattern where I think
Maybe.
yes, probably $100 a year for NSO. I see it.
But
Plus-
my mind immediately goes to when they did the N64 stuff, and they had loads of problems with N64 games running properly,
Yeah.
or crashing, or corrupting your save, or all sorts of things. So, and I know N64 is notoriously hard to emulate. And I'll come back around to emulation in a second. But Game Chat is going to be new for them, so yeah. I mean, I think everybody's thinking they're going to have some growing pains.
Absolutely. You're beta testing this, right? You're beta
You
testing your backwards compatibility for Switch 1 games, because they said it's not native. You're beta testing whatever issues that could come up with the new GameCube stuff. You hope they learn their lessons and fix it right out the box, right? But it is a Switch 2 exclusive. You're beta testing Game Chat. I mean, you got like 45 different ways to buy games now, which is all confusing with confusing pricing. It's like
It's
is
like they're taking a playbook,
weird.
a play out of Ubisoft's playbook. We got to have like 3 different versions of these games, and
The gold and the ultimate.
yeah.
I would have been more happy they would have picked a lane and be like, all right, these games are $80. Even though they may not be worth $80, I would have just been happy to pick a lane, instead of this weird
Ooh.
all over the shit place.
After
what I mean?
just getting used to the $70 games, now we're going 80.
My coworker was like, he said, now I know. He's like, I know for a fact that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be over $100 after he saw this shit. He said, after I saw this shit, they were talking about it. He says, I believe it now. That shit's going to be $120.
That standard SKU is $99.99.
Yeah.
Did they say anything about like the Kirby and the Forgotten Lands? Is that expansion coming to the original Switch?
No.
I kind of hate that for those owners, because that was a fantastic video game.
So I think the positive is you pop in that Switch 1 cart, you pay the upgrade fee, and you get the updated visuals and then the expansion.
But you've also bought a $500 machine at that point too.
Yeah. I have a shit ton of Switch games, so I'm more curious on the backwards compatibility. There's my backlog on Switch is ridiculous. It's been sitting there because a lot of the hardware on there is like, It
fell behind years ago.
I'm kind of curious to see if we have any uptick, like, oh, this runs better, or hey, we're gonna patch this, kind of like as Brand has alluded to, where they're patching some of these older games to just run better that are free patches. I'm hoping that other companies are like, hey, we might sell a couple more copies of this Switch game that's still out and available if we just patch it to make it run better on the Switch 2. We don't know.
Yeah.
Smart idea.
But
I think some games that you might see some improved performance, or if there's an unlocked frame rate or something like that, just by popping it in the Switch 2.
Yeah.
But
as Richard alluded to, Xenoblade Chronicles X has a 60 frames per second. What we talked about earlier last year was Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door had 4K 60 frames per second version. So I think there's stuff, and none of that stuff was announced at all in this direct. So I think it's coming. So I have not played my copy of Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm sitting in that box.
Same.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna leave you in there because I'd rather play you in 60 frames. So,
but it is crazy to me how we have Nintendo shouting from the rooftops all the time. Emulation is bad. It's terrible. It's harmful to the gaming industry. And time and time again, it's a rule for thee, not me kind of situation, because Nintendo uses emulators all the time. The NSO is just an emulator. They're using emulator to backwards compatibility switch. They used emulators in their Nintendo Museum to play the classic games on a freaking Windows PC.
Yeah.
So
I mean, who turned emulation to not a bad word? It was Xbox, right?
yeah.
They're the ones that came around like, no, this is necessary to play a lot of these legacy games, and they utilize it properly, right? And that kind of forced everybody to do the exact same thing. Sony started doing the same thing. They stopped doing this ridiculous native versions of PS2 games from PS4. They're like, oh, you know what? They're right. We'll use an emulator to run these ISOs, So,
but like you said, Nintendo ran within the past year and a half.
They still do.
They ran down every single Switch emulator out there, and one they had a case because it actually did use some of their code, but the other one was completely open source from the ground up. They had nothing, and they were just like, yeah, we're buying you,
and close down the site
and close it out.
I was thinking inside the box, as stated on here, like the emulators ran better than the Switch. That's how you play 4K, 60 frames per second on PC. So
I just said that's what we were joking about. They use it in the Switch 2 now.
Yeah. The Ryujin is that's what some people were joking like. Oh, that's why they bought Ryujin.
Oh, I'm about to say, somebody as soon as they can crack this thing open, they'll find out. And
that code base will be in there.
I was about to say there's 99% chance that's exactly what they're running.
I mean, it's no secret that it's in the trademarks that the PS5 are using that PlayStation 2 emulator to run their games. So they credit it in there. So
yeah,
you use the stuff properly, man. You don't sit there and bitch about it and try to make it go away. You hire those people and say, hey, make this work on this console. Because still to this day, I think Durante is still porting games to PC, and he does a way better job than any of these companies do. Like. Mm-hmm. And I think at this point, he's ported so many Trails games now. Like he's been doing a lot of Trails games, and he's made them better. Like I think he just did what Trails from the Daybreak 2, which now runs on uses a DLSS in the game, which was never originally in there in the Japanese version. Like he implemented it. It's like if you hire the right person, you can utilize them to make your game better instead of sitting there just trying to shut it down.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, this guy has talent. You come work for me.
Leverage them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is that it for our Switch 2 show?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to do games played, which I've only played games with you guys this past Saturday, and I will need you guys to also cover those, and then I'll jump in here and there.
So we all, Brand looked on what was the co-op website?
Co-Optimus.
Yeah.
Co-Optimus. Yeah. And it listed a couple games, and we all happened to go on Rainbow Six Vegas 2. We were all under the impression that the single player game would be
4-player co-op.
4 players. Yeah. But after some further research, as we can only get 2 people in there, in the story mode, we found out that it was only applied to the terrorist mode. And I guess the first game in the series actually had true story mode for 4 players. So Terrorist Hunt was kind of like your own private server. All 4 of us joined. Yeah. I think we did a couple of maps where basically it puts all 4 of us in the area, which you can have friendly fire on and off. I think we turned it off. It can increase difficulty to realistic
we had to
amateur, beginner.
Yeah.
And essentially they send you waves and waves of terrorists.
Like
with game AI, which they would try to learn from you and kind of try to get behind you and get you, and you have a X amount of lives, like maybe 4. So, some of it I think Richard had alluded to while we were playing that it might have been shared because I think some people came back more than 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
But we did that Brand, 2 or 3 maps before we're like, let's do something else, and
it wore at its welcome after a little bit.
I think it was more of a game of its time. If we were playing this when it came out, I think it would have been a good time. Everybody co-op on the couch versus online. Online's okay. But I think in the couch co-op it would have been more of a fun venture in my opinion. So
It was very limited in its scope, but it was tactical. Like we got the hang of it, but also the controls were very antiquated. Like B was your grenade button, and we were constantly throwing grenades at each other. Yeah.
Or that first match where we kept fragging each other and immediately dying.
Yeah. I think run was like right bumper. It's like, who did this?
Then Brant figured out how to flashbang all of us. So
that was fun.
Yeah.
It played well.
Yeah.
It was a good playing game.
Yeah. It was smooth. I don't know, man. I was like you guys. After an hour, we gave it a chance. I was like, and then we fired up Left 4 Dead 2, and that lasted all 15 minutes because I guess we weren't feeling it that night. Because
some of it died so fast. It was just punishing.
Some of it might have been my fault because I ran ahead and I got so many specials behind me that I just kept running forward because like if I turn around, they're going to get my ass. I was like, I was surviving going ahead, so I was like, you guys were nowhere near me, and it was like, and then we were all dropping. It just wasn't that type of night.
Yeah,
and then
like, I got a hunter on me. I got a boomer or whatever they call those things, smoker.
And then Buish's jockey was always riding him. So
forever,
the first freaking thing that happened, jockey jumps on Buish.
Oh, you hear Buish on the mic. He's like, I hear that jockey somewhere, and then I see on my screen the jockey is riding Buish.
Yep. And then I think what was it, Richard? You suggested MCC after that.
Old Man Halo,
as you call it.
Some Old Man Halo.
And then we fired it up, and I mean, Old Man Halo is always a good time, right? It's always a comfort food type of thing. It's very rarely that we have a bad game in Old Man Halo, right? Yeah. Infinite.
Well, I mean, there was
go either night.
You kept yelling about the flashlight. You kept turning on the flashlight.
It's annoying, but I mean, it's not like nothing beats Halo Infinite. We're playing like big team battle. And you're like losing by. It's an unenjoyable experience in my opinion. Yeah, I don't even know how that game is winnable. I don't know. They should cut that mode. But
somebody gets a wasp and is just killing you with that wasp thing or whatever they call that.
They know the exploits, right?
Yeah.
That's modern day gaming, right? You know the exploits. Yeah. Nobody will fucking exploit it out unless you play the level without the vehicles.
And you just troll everybody and make it not fun.
Jump in a Scorpion, just sit there and blow everybody up as they come at you, and there's something you can do. So it's like that type of shit. But that's neither here or there. So we ended up doing a couple rounds. He's usually a pretty good time outside of a friend of the show, our friend of Brant, Sean, who had our number.
Random guy, Sean.
And Sean 01. We had to block Sean.
Oh my gosh. Pro player Sean.
Sean was destroying us.
We couldn't get a match.
He was in every game. Oh, I can't wait till this game comes out on other consoles, man. Please. We need a bigger play. We need a bigger player count.
Y'all saw that rumor it might not be the collection. It might be like Halo 1 by itself and Halo 2.
I got a feeling it's going to be a la carte. I don't think it's going to be MCC collection. I think everything's going to be a la carte. So.
At least get those sales and then bundle it after the fact.
Yes, which is fine. I mean, if you want a complete version, you have it on PC and Xbox, right? There's ways to get that. So.
And remember when it first came out, it was just 1, 2, 3, and 4. We had to pay extra for Reach and ODST. Mm-hmm. Those were for like $5 add-ons, which I could see them doing something like that too.
Yeah, I don't think. I think what was it? The Tom Warren from The Verge said it was. He couldn't confirm. He said it was not going to be like the MCC, right? He couldn't confirm that all games were going to come out, but it wasn't going to be like an MCC collection. So it's like Richard said, they may all come out at once, but it may just be a la carte.
Yeah,
who knows? So, or it might be a ridiculously huge SKU for the complete set. So.
Well, you guys totally bailed me out voice wise. That is my games play for this week.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think Brant has a good bit of games played. I think I've after my Death Stranding rant from last week, which took 30 minutes. I debated whether or not if I wanted to go back to Suikoden 2 because I wanted a palate cleanser, and I was like, I don't know. I'm playing Suikoden 2 now, and I'm not going to go over Suikoden 2 because I just got back into it. So I got a wild hair in me, and I started playing Toomba.
Oh yeah.
The one that just came out, and I've never beaten Toomba on the PlayStation 1. It was a game I always loved and enjoyed, but I've never, for the life of me, I never could get that concept of like the evil pig bags and finding the doors, which were hidden throughout the world. I was like, it never clicked at that time, so I never really got far in that game. It always fell off. And not to say it was a bad game, it's just I was younger then. I was still in high school, and I was like, yeah. And by then, I had discovered RPGs, Final Fantasy VII, and then at that point, I was just all in. I beat Tactics right after that, and I was all in on Tactics. So I was like, that was mostly my go-to for games. But that's kind of like my background story for that. But I did fire up Toomba, and I beat it. I platinumed it, and I completed everything in there, all the events, everything. I had a good time with it. So I think what I've learned, like story-wise, is that it's a pretty cheeky story. It's like it's mostly like humorous, where you meet 1,000-year-old man, a 100-year-old man, 1,000-year-old man, a 10,000-year-old man, and then a 1,000,000-year-old man, who gives you like story bits of the story where you're Toomba, who you're looking for your grandfather's bracelet, who you never meet in this game, your grandfather.
Oh,
it's a gold bracelet, and you find out that the evil pigs like gold. And as you go through, each one gives you a little bit more of the story. Like, yeah, they like gold. And the reason why they like gold at the very end of it is because they use the gold to create new evil spells for their evil ways. So, and that's pretty much the story. I mean, it doesn't get any more than that. And outside, when you fight the final evil pig, he's like, I did it because I was bored. that's the motivation. So,
how long was this game?
About 6 hours.
Okay.
6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, to do everything. All 130 events. Probably would take you less time if you have a guide. Probably I did everything without a guide. They give you little tidbits when you get stuck where you can, like, front some of the harder events. There's like if you complete certain events, they're like, oh, I'll give you hints on certain things. And the hardest one was getting the 5 golden objects. And like you had this old tree, which was crazy. And just to let you know, if you guys ever played this game, you have these pumps that pump water. Like these little hill things.
Yeah.
My advice to you is, if you decide to play this game, hit everyone as you go through and make sure the water goes all the way down, because there's an event where they want you to hit everyone in that game to complete the event. And that requires you to backtrack to the very beginning to make sure, like, did I hit this one? And I don't remember, so I'm going to hit it again. So,
oh God.
So that's my advice to anybody who plays this game. But the game does a really good job of building a world where there's a lot of events in there that requires you to backtrack, and there's always something in every level which can take you to another level. So like the jungle may lead you back to a certain village, or might lead you back to the original village. So there's different ways to get through there, and there's different items you can get later on. Like the Baron is a dog that can fly you to different areas that you've been to. So it doesn't make it difficult to backtrack, which I'm not a big fan of, like collectathons, which it feels like an eventathon. But there's many ways to move around the map quickly, which it didn't feel like you were wasting your time, right? So it still kept it engaging and fun. Outside of that, each event was a different puzzle as you go through the story, as you fight the different bosses on there. The boss battles, I never had fought an evil pig boss battle in the original game when I had it on the PlayStation 1 when I was in high school. I never got there. Now this one, when I went through it, I was like, oh, the door just popped up, and I was like, I'll jump through the door. And so the battle is like, you literally jump on the pig, and there's like a coin purse floating around that kind of like circulates or goes up and down, and you have to like throw that pig in that current coin purse, and it closes, and that's it. There's not the standard like I got to hit him 3 times, or you just got to throw him in that capture him in that bag. That's it.
Nice. So
a lot of it is timing, because sometimes they'll jump off you, and it's like, oh, the bag's almost here, and they'll throw you away. Each one has different powers, so it's like. Some battles will take me literally 2 seconds, and some battles will take me 5 minutes. It just all depends on your RNG for that game. RNG is really bad in life and in this game, so most of my battles took a long time. So outside of that,
rewind function. Can you rewind with the new?
There is. I think that has saved me a lot of times. That's why I was able to finish the game at 50 lives, which I think nobody's ever done before. Strictly because of the rewind feature.
World record holder, Cesar.
World record. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
World record.
They're putting my name on a plaque, and they're erecting the plaque somewhere in northern Wisconsin. But
it's very specific.
Yeah, you know me, I'm always am. I've never been to Wisconsin, but I want my plaque to be there.
North Wisconsin.
But that is my games played. Like I said, I did play a little bit more Suikoden 2, but since that is more of a story-based heavy game, I'm going to wait to get a little bit further on that one.
Yeah.
And before I talk about it, and that'll lead me over to Brent to talk about his games played outside of the ones we spoke earlier, which was the multiplayer games this weekend. I'm hoping my little tidbit before I give it to Brent is I'm hoping to convince you guys to say fuck every game, and we're gonna play Verdansk on Warzone this weekend. So
I'll update it tonight.
I was about to say
So-
we can't remember the game that we decided we were going to play, so I think it's going to be Call of Duty.
I want Verdansk. I want us to get mad at Verdansk and move back to Old Man Halo as a
That's
repercussion.
a possibility.
So
That's a strong.
that is what is
possibility.
exactly going to happen, unless we feel like Left 4 Dead is a good move.
I'm about to say hopefully this weekend that will be on Resurgence, although I don't think it is going
You
to
said
be.
right now it wasn't. Yeah.
As a friend of the show says, Renee said he didn't play any games this weekend or completed anything. Didn't play anything at all, and he completed his anime Ninja Kamui. So
Nice.
well done, Renee. I'm proud of you. All right, Brant, take us home.
I beat Legends of Dragoon.
Oh,
Yay!
you knocked it out.
First time? Are you like that meme? First time? First time?
Yeah.
First time. In
For the first time.
30
I've got-
years, right.
Yeah, I've gotten far several times and then always like set it down, forget about it, go play something else, come back, pick it up, play a little bit more, and then go, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? And
This is
then like
my
I'll
MO.
start a new game or something.
This is
I've
what I
started that
do.
game so many times just because I'm like, oh, I love the way that fucking intro looks.
It's Richard,
especially-
Final Fantasy 10.
Oh,
10
especially
and
for the
9.
time, man. That those CGI like full motion videos, aside the fact that they're like a little grainy, for the time that CGI does not look bad. It looks really good.
Yeah, it holds up.
So there's a content creator I like. And he
Mr.
boils
Beast.
most no.
World-renowned Mr.
Uh,
Beast, who plays, we know is a big fan of Legend Dragoon. Well done.
Doctor Disrespect.
He's he's a journalist as well as a content creator. His name is he goes by Ben Yahtzee Croshaw,
Oh,
and he's a pretty harsh critic on most things, but it does
Is
it in a
that a
very fun
shtick?
way. Yes.
okay.
He boils a lot of JRPGs down to one thing, where it's a bunch of people that come together to at the very
With the
end of
Beatles
the
song?
game kill God or fight God with the power of friendship and save the world.
My favorite
So-
genre.
That's pretty. It's pretty accurate. I mean, and most that or my favorite Final Fantasy 9, where the final boss is like, "I never fought, or you never heard of me before, but here I am." And it's like you
Osmos
weren't the
or
guy.
whatever.
Yeah, you weren't the guy that we were fighting this whole time. I was the guy running everything behind the scenes. It's the first time you ever saw me. I'm just the final boss battle.
So this is no exception. Legends of Dragoon goes the same. The last time I had talked, we were chasing down Lloyd and one of his cohorts, and I got like the last Dragoon spirit I needed. From there, the game goes kind of, crazy. It has like high and low points where it speeds up, it slows down. I think like disc 2 slows down a lot. Disc 3 picks up, and so much happens
Yeah.
in disc 3. Shauna, like your childhood friend who's been in the party, she all of a sudden she's had a bunch of like weird stuff happen to her during this journey, but she kind of like faints, falls out, and leaves the
Brent?
party.
Brant,
Huh?
I just want to ask. I haven't played this game in a long time, but does a childhood friend win? They never win in the anime or manga. Did they win?
Oh
this
yeah,
one?
she wins. She wins.
They usually never. The also not my G. That's what they call the childhood friend. Never usually win. So Brand knows what I'm talking about.
Yes,
So.
but she falls out. She's not feeling well, and one of the new characters you meet actually takes her place, gets her dragoon power, and
Wow.
so you're traveling with this new companion. You're going back and forth, and then eventually, Lloyd winds up kidnapping her, and he's
the new character.
Fine. He's the kind of the antagonist you've been following around this whole time, trying to catch up with, who's been kind of mysteriously moving behind the scenes, stealing all these these things called moon objects, like divine moon objects or whatever, and we don't know exactly what his goal is. He set free like this divine dragon in order to kill it as part of his plan, because he thought that it was gonna get in the way. Which you have to help fight that. It's this huge, crazy freaking dragon. And then the big turn is the person that he's working for. You finally go to meet him, and I guess the big reveal is that it is Dart's father, the main character's father, who's supposedly died years ago.
He's supposed to be an orphan, right?
Yes. But also, not only is he Dart's father, he is Zeeg. He is the person that, one of the first characters you meet, Rose, who is like one of the original Dragoons, who's been alive since, the original war that happened 11,000 years ago. That was her fiance, I guess. She was going to marry him.
Tangled
so
web.
Through a flashback, we saw him fighting, the big bad all those years ago, and then he got like cursed with some magic that turned him into stone. So she's just as surprised. And he's saying that he's doing all this to basically bring about the end of the world. And they don't understand. They're like, why is he doing this? And he's saying it's the will of the divine creator. He did, he made all this stuff. There's a bunch of lore.
A Genova
yeah,
thing.
there's a bunch of lore in this game where there was like the creator Soa made this divine tree. From the divine tree, 108 fruits were born. Every fruit was a different being, be it human, be it dragons, be it the magical beings, the winglies, and you saw every creature was another fruit. And the very last fruit is the they just call it the virage embryo,
Okay.
which the winglies actually found out about years ago, and in order to stop and prevent the end of the world, they did what they could. They sealed away the power and sealed away the last fruit, which is actually, you may remember it, Richard, since you've played this game a couple times too. The moon that never sets, that big moon that you see up in the sky, that's the actual thing.
Oh.
And the plot point where that's the embryo, that's like the seed, that's basically like where the body is there in the sky. The soul of the beast was actually separated from it as well, and the soul of this being floats around, and I can't remember what it was, however many years, inhabits a new body, and that's where we get the moon child. And if you remember, there's that lore about the black monster that comes around and destroys the moon child. And Dart has been looking for the black monster because that's when he was a child. That's what happened. It came to his hometown.
Quest.
It destroyed everything. It killed his parents. And come to find out that the moon child is his childhood friend. So that's why she randomly has these weird things happen to her throughout the quest that, don't make sense. She has these weird interactions with these monsters and things like that, and or has these weird bursts of power and then faints. And so now it kind of makes sense after you figure that out, like, oh, well, that's her thing. And Zeeg reveals that the black monster going around killing the moon children all the time has been Rose the entire time. She was the one doing that to try and prevent the end of the world as well.
Oh. Layers.
So that turns and kind of causes a little bit of conflict, but Dart puts that kind of behind them and says, like, the most important thing right now is getting Shauna back, is, preventing my dad from creating the end of the world and all this. So you have to go to like these ancient cities to try and keep him from destroying these spheres that are like the last thing keeping the moon in place. And try as you might, of course, you can't do it. So the moon comes down, and you have to go to the moon and battle up till you get to your main conflict there, where you fight. You go to fight Zeeg, and because, of course, he was the user of the Red Dragoon before you, he actually steals the Dragoon spirit from Dart.
Oh shit!
And while you're fighting him, he can't use Dragoon power, obviously, because he doesn't have it.
Does the Dragoon power have any sort of consciousness, like, towards these people? Does it know? Does it know who has it?
It's kind of established in the game that the Dragoon spirits choose who uses them. They can recognize people. Like, not everybody can pick it up, but it's kind of like one of those things where if you're worthy, you can wield that power.
Yeah.
So it still recognizes him as one of the users, so he can, I guess, freely use it. So it gets to the point where you're fighting, and then all of a sudden the embryo starts hatching. So he starts acting a little weird, and he says something to the effect of, "Now I can finally shed this shell, this form." And turns out that the person forever ago, in the original war that they fought, I think it was like, his name is like Melbu Frama or something like that. His spirit, Zeeg, had like stabbed him and fatally wounded him. And he cursed Zeeg and, made him turn to stone, but he also like transferred his spirit into him and like laid dormant. So whenever the curse wore off and he was able to go on about his life, he was fine. And the evil spirit kind of grew in him, and when Rose came to their town and, started destroying everything, Zeeg decided that, he was going to fight back, and I guess initiated at some point, used his Dragoon power, and that like triggered Melbu to like basically completely take over Zeeg and use his body as he wished. So he leaves Zeeg's body, he enters the body of the this divine creature, and now claims himself a god. Lloyd, in the story, had delivered, everything to him, and upon learning that he wanted to destroy the world, not actually create a better world, got mad, and he just kind of Zeeg kind of just slapped him down, and you don't see him ever until the end here, where you fight this big monster. Lloyd shows up and gets cut down and is dying, and in his last breath he gives like Rose a new weapon, and he gives you the actual Dragoon spirit for the divine Dragoon, or that you fought like earlier in the game. So you get a brand new Dragoon spirit. It's extremely powerful.
Upgrade.
Nice.
You do the final battle, which of course does the typical "this isn't my final form" thing, where you keep fighting him and he like changes forms, changes styles, gets bigger, more grandiose attacks.
Bigger.
And I kept going, and I'm like, okay, this has to be his final one. And I was literally, it was like 11:30 at night on Sunday.
Damn.
And I'm still playing, and I'm
Please
sitting
let
there.
this
I'm
finish.
like, I gotta. That is the nice thing, I guess, about it being on PS5. I was able to just sit there and go ahead and do a quick save because he was still in the yellow, and I was like, I don't know exactly how much longer he has, and I guess I can just pick this up tomorrow. But so you beat him, he falls, so you start like you collect Shauna, pick her up, but then of course he has to like rise from the ashes and try and take you with him, or continue to retaliate. Rose and Zieg decide they are going to after all this time, be together and do what they need to do to take him down. So they tell you to leave. They go and fight him, and there's this huge explosion.
Oh,
and
climax.
Yes, huge explosion, huge like mushroom cloud thing, and they take him down, and the world is saved. And the last thing you see, it goes from like place to place, town to town. Everything that you visit showed how now everything's like flourishing. Places that are damaged are being rebuilt. It shows you like Dart and Shauna together, like since we're saying the friend wins, the childhood friend actually won. And while it's doing this, there's like this little white bird with some blue accents on its wings and tail flying around like each scene, like as it transitions. And so the last thing you see is that bird flying off, going and meeting another bird that has like red accents, and they both go and sit and perch, and it kind of zooms out, and it's where that final battle took place, and Zieg's and Rose's dragoon spirits are sitting there side by side. So it was a damn good game.
That's a beautiful
long game.
Finale.
I know.
Finale.
That game is. I had a friend show that to me and let me borrow that game, and that was years and years and years ago. And this was even well into like PS2 era stuff. Because I know we were at his house playing like Killzone and things like that when he was like, "Hey, have you ever played this game?" and showed me Legends of Dragoon. I'm like, "Oh,
is this a friend that I know?"
No. But golly, like I said, I've played that game so many times and never beaten it. It's a good game. It's a pretty good, solid story. It's one of those that could definitely benefit from like a remaster, remake.
Yeah.
And if you haven't played it and enjoy classic RPGs, it's a good one.
It's up there.
And it's very, very up there. Other than that, I really haven't played much. I did get...
Brand, you're secretly hoping that Sony will license that out to somebody to make a sequel.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a rumor, or at least that's a wish of several people. I did get a few games in. Keeping on with the Xbox stuff, I did actually get the Call of Duty Black Ops collection. I know
It's
I
a good
talked last
collection.
week about that. Oh gosh, what was that? The GT 2000 and Jet Set radio. I actually did
The combo
return
disc.
those.
What was the
Yeah,
result? They accepted it?
I did return those. It was fine.
Yeah.
And I got 2 in from limited run. So
Games
my first game
acquired.
from limited run is Penny's Big Breakaway,
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
which I hear nothing but good things.
Yeah.
That was that came out last year, like early last year, I want to say.
It's made by the Sonic Mania people, right?
It is, and it's like this crazy thing where she's got the yo-yo and she's doing all these tricks and platforming and stuff. It just looks like a really unique game. And other than that, I also got this, which y'all will know this is 100% my shit. Castlevania, the Dominus
Dominus collection.
Dominus
Yeah.
collection, which is all of the DS games, which I do actually already have those, but it's nice to have these HD and in one place. This also includes the Haunted Castle Revisited, which is like I think the original
It's like the arcade game, right?
reimagined of the very first Castlevania arcade game.
We're just waiting on the WiiWare one to come out.
Yep.
The WiiWare one. We need that whole collection, the Konami collection in there.
Hey, it could happen. They've been doing it.
I was about to say, yeah, Konami actually has been back in the saddle. They've been making games and they've been churning out these collections actually pretty decently lately. So, I mean, it's better than what they had been doing. So,
Yeah.
which was nothing.
As Brent mentioned, I think if you happen to buy that Castlevania collection, there's 3 covers. So
Yes.
you could when you purchase it, you could choose the cover you had on there. I picked one for my DS and then one for my PS5, the opposite one. So
Nice. But that's it for me.
All right. Anything else from us last minute?
no,
My
outside
voice
of
is
that,
gone.
yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
Outside of just keep a lookout for us. I mean, we're going to be streaming something tomorrow. It seems like it's probably going to be Call of Duty based to begin with, and after that, who knows?
We'll
Depending
see how quick that
how that turns out.
yeah, that could be an all-night thing, or that could be
30 minutes.
a little bit of Call of Duty and a little bit of something else. We don't
I
know.
feel that since we're not forced to do Mushroom Island, which
Yeah.
I've talked to my friends about, and I don't want to digress too much, but what killed it for me was the people going in the center of the map and snapping people out of the air.
Every time.
Which is what killed it for me.
Every
That's what
time.
killed it for me.
Yeah.
So I think we have a better chance with Rebirth Island, and I kind of do want to do Verdansk since a friend of the show's Burmaniac is a big fan of Verdansk, and I never was in that original OG Warzone,
Yeah,
since
me
this is a
neither.
comeback. So if not, we have some backup plans or the usuals that we can jump to. One day we'll play Marvel Rivals with Emma Frost, but yeah, appreciate everybody who joined us. Very big Switch 2 reveal centric episode.
Yeah, very heavy.
Richard and all of us talked about our Rainbow Six Vegas 2 dreams and MCC nightmares. I beat some Toomba, and Brant went over there and destroyed Legend Dragoon. Made it his bitch.
Oh,
Damn.
it's so good.
Good summary.
Platinum. Got the platinum trophy.
Oh,
Yeah. It's always a good accomplishment when you can do the platinum trophy. So
it is.
when it doesn't require you to do 8 hours of additional content to get it.
SSR, you're gonna have to buy Suikoden 1 and 2 again. Switch 2 version.
Oh, fuck off. I'll do it.
Fuck off.
Switch 2 version.
Is it a
I'll
game
do it.
key?
Play
Is it a game
Play
key
Asia.
game?
I'll do it. You don't have to, as Richard always jokes about, you don't have to tempt me with a good time.
Yeah.
It's it says pre-orders are $33.24. Play Asia with code Wario25.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what more you would get out of. I mean, the game doesn't run bad as Unity on Switch. I don't know what more you get out of Switch 2 outside of maybe you can play 1080p fully, maybe 4K and docked. Who knows? But I will more than happy that low price.
I'm about to say I might double dip
Repurchase
just
it.
to support.
That would be a quadruple dip for me. So
Yeah.
as I own the PS4, PS5, Steam, and Switch versions of those games, it would be a quadruple dip. Yeah.
All right. Is that up for us, gentlemen?
That's it.
That is it. Thanks to everybody for joining us on this episode.
Yep. Thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.